Some people can walk into a room with absolutely no idea what they're talking about and still make everyone else feel uncertain. They speak first. They speak fast. They speak like doubt is for weaker people, and for a moment you believe them. Not because they're right, because certainty has a strange effect on the human brain. It feels like competence. It sounds like intelligence. And in the wrong hands, it can overpower the truth before the truth even has a chance to speak. This is the psychology of false confidence. And once you see how it works, you start noticing it everywhere. In meetings, on social media, in family arguments, in politics, in friendships, in people who are completely wrong but never sound like it. In 1999, psychologist David Dunning and his student Dunning-Kruger ran a set of experiments at Cornell. They tested people on logic, grammar, and humor. Then they asked them one more thing. How well do you think you did? And that's where it got disturbing. The people who performed the worst did not think they did slightly better than they had. They thought they did extremely well. Some of the weakest performers believed they were near the top. Meanwhile, the most competent people often underestimated themselves, not because they were less intelligent, because they understood the complexity of what they were looking at. That is the trap. The less you understand, the easier it is to feel certain. The more you understand, the more you start seeing everything you might have missed. So the loudest person in the room is often not the clearest thinker. They are just the least aware of their own limits. And that becomes dangerous the moment confidence starts influencing other people. Because false confidence does not stay inside one mind. It spreads. You've probably felt it before. Someone states something aggressively. No hesitation, no nuance, no discomfort, no maybe, no I could be wrong. Just a clean, hard, confident answer. And suddenly you start checking yourself, even if you were right 2 seconds earlier. That's the power of it. False confidence creates pressure. It makes uncertainty feel embarrassing. It makes careful thinking look weak. It makes the person asking good questions feel smaller than the person giving bad answers with perfect delivery. And most people never notice that's what's happening. They just feel the effect. Researchers have found again and again that groups tend to follow confidence more than accuracy. Not always, but often enough to matter. People trust the voice that sounds settled, the voice that sounds smooth, the voice that never pauses long enough to reveal the cracks. Because hesitation is easy to misread. We think hesitation means weakness. Sometimes it means honesty. Sometimes it means the person speaking actually understands how complicated reality is. Real expertise usually sounds different from performance. It sounds more precise, more careful, more conditional. Real experts say things like, it depends. They say, based on the evidence. They say, here's where I'm confident, and here's where I'm not. That doesn't sound powerful to an untrained ear. It sounds softer, less cinematic, less impressive. And that is exactly why false confidence keeps winning rooms. It performs better. It feels better. It gives people what they want most in uncertain situations. Relief. A confident answer ends tension. A thoughtful answer extends it. So people often reward the wrong one. And here's the darker part. The person with false confidence is not always manipulating you on purpose. That would actually be easier to detect. A liar leaks something, a hesitation, a tell, a mismatch. But a falsely confident person often believes every word they're saying. They are not performing certainty. They are possessed by it, and that sincerity makes them persuasive. Because they are not just selling the illusion to you. They've already sold it to themselves. That's why arguing with them can feel so strangely exhausting. You're trying to discuss reality. They're defending identity. To them, being questioned does not feel like correction. It feels like an attack. So they double down. They deflect. They dismiss. They get louder. They get cleaner. More absolute. More certain. Not because they have stronger evidence, because doubt is the one thing their confidence cannot survive. Think about how many people build influence this way. People who dominate conversations, people who mistake intensity for insight, people who confuse volume with authority, people who have never seriously tested what they believe, but still deliver it like a verdict. And if you spend enough time around them, something starts happening to you. You begin censoring your own mind. You stop speaking unless you can sound just as certain. You start apologizing for nuance. You start feeling weak for thinking carefully. That is psychological contamination, and it can change the way you see yourself, especially if you're the kind of person who actually reflects before speaking, especially if you notice complexity, especially if you are intelligent enough to see multiple sides of an issue. Because real thinking often sounds less confident in real time. It's messier. It pauses. It updates. It makes room for contradiction before resolution. And in a culture addicted to certainty, that can make an intelligent person look hesitant next to a fool with perfect delivery. So, what do you do with that? You stop treating confidence as proof. That's the first shift. You stop being impressed by certainty alone. You stop rewarding people just because they sound finished. And when someone speaks with total certainty about something complex, you ask one question, just one. How did you arrive at that? Or, what evidence would make you change your mind? That is where the split appears. The truly competent usually engage. They explain. They qualify. They think. They may even refine their answer while speaking. The falsely confident often do something else. They dodge. They get irritated. They repeat themselves. They act as if the question itself is a problem, because the question forces contact with the one thing their confidence was built to avoid: inspection. And for yourself, the answer is not to become quieter. It is not to kill your confidence. It is to build a version of confidence that can survive reality. Confidence that has been tested. Confidence that can handle disagreement. Confidence that does not collapse the second someone pushes back. That kind of confidence is not loud. It does not need to dominate. It does not need to rush. It does not need to pretend certainty where certainty does not exist. It just stands. And that is a very different kind of power. False confidence wants control. Real confidence wants clarity. False confidence reacts. Real confidence examines. False confidence speaks to win. Real confidence speaks to understand, and then to say what is true as clearly as possible. So the next time someone sounds absolutely certain, do not ask yourself, do they believe it? That is the wrong question. Ask, has this belief ever been seriously tested? Because belief is cheap. Delivery is cheap. Volume is cheap. Certainty is cheap. What matters is whether that certainty survived contact with evidence, with correction, with reality. False confidence is loud. Real confidence is grounded. And in most rooms, the most dangerous person is not the most evil one. It is the one who is deeply wrong and completely unafraid of sounding right.